Hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk about taking calls. I want to show you two videos and then I'm gonna show you some points about these videos. Interesting. Okay.
Oh je, ein Anruf aus England. Naja, hilft ja nichts. Hello, ABC Industries Sales Department, Annika Müller speaking.
Yes, I'd like to speak to Florian Wagner, please.
Who's calling?
What did you think of Annika's reaction? She obviously was not happy that the caller didn't say his name. Would you have reacted the same way? I hope not. You may be surprised to hear this, but it is not unusual for callers from the UK and USA not to say their name when they call for your boss, and it may even be considered impolite for you to ask them. But what can you do in a situation like this? Let's look again and see how Annika reacts this time.
Oh, ein Anruf aus England. Wie schön. Hello, ABC Industries Sales Department, Annika Müller speaking.
Yes, I'd like to speak to Florian Wagner, please.
Certainly, if you'd like to tell me your name.
Yes, it's Greg Smith.
And may I ask you what it's about, Mr. Smith?
What did you think of that? It was much more professional. Annika changed from being very impolite to being very polite. Note how she didn't tell Greg to tell her his name. She asked him if he'd like to. She also asked him if she could ask him what it was about. She didn't say, "What's it about?" which would be a direct question. She said, "May I ask you what it's about?" an indirect question.
Yes, he asked me to call about the sales forecast for next month.
Okay, thank you. I put you through now.
This is a really elegant and professional way out of this situation. It's polite, but it also makes it clear to the caller that you are not going to put him through to your boss. It's easier for you, it's easier for the caller, and it's easier for your boss. Remember this next time someone doesn't give you their name.
Okay, that's enough. I just want to give you the main points of the first video. Okay, where were we? When you first greet someone on the phone, you should always say the name of the company, then your name, then "May I help you?" For example, Apple Computers Marketing Department, Nadim Beydoun speaking, "May I help you?" Usually you have to practice this a bit, and I'm sure like when you start working they're going to teach you how to say these things. Now the main idea about this video is that when you talk to someone on the phone, you should never be direct. Like if someone says, if you want to know who's calling, you don't say "who's calling," you ask indirectly, "May you tell me your name please?" for example. Don't say, "and why are you calling?" or you ask, "and may I ask you what the call is about?" It should always be from an angle, indirect. Because if you ask directly, it might be rude. People might not want to give their names, for example. They might not want to say why they're calling. So you have to ask them if you can ask them. That's the idea. I'm going to show you another video about angry callers, how to handle angry callers, and it might happen in your life, so I think you should be ready for it.
intimidated by difficult customers, ignoring their behavior, or tiptoeing around the situation is not healthy or productive. And in most cases, it doesn't even lead to customer satisfaction. In this segment, you will get 6 field-tested strategies for assertively responding to anger, strategies that have been proven highly effective for getting irate customers to back down. First up, apologize. An apology makes the angry customer feel heard and understood. It diffuses anger and it allows you to begin to re-establish trust. Not only that, but pilot studies have found that the mere act of apologizing has reduced lawsuits, settlement, and defense costs. You need to apologize to customers regardless of fault. Certainly, the apology needs to be carefully worded. Here's an example of a sincere yet careful apology. Please accept my sincere and unreserved apology for any inconvenience this may have caused you. My second tip, kill them softly with diplomacy. This simple phrase has never failed me. Clearly, we've upset you, and I want you to know that getting to the bottom of this is just as important to me as it is to you. When you say this, anger begins to dissipate. You've addressed the anger directly and non-defensively, and you haven't been pulled into the drama of the attack. And here's a fun tip. Go into computer mode. To use computer mode, you take on the formalities of a computer. You speak generally, without emotion, and you don't take the bait your angry or difficult customer is throwing you. Your words, tone, and attitude are completely impersonal and neutral. Think of the automated response system you speak to when you call your wireless phone company or bank. This computer mode response deflects, diffuses, and disarms angry customers because you don't add fuel to the fire by giving your difficult customer what they want, and that is an emotional reaction. When you don't take the bait, the difficult customer is forced to stop dead in their tracks, and that means you regain control and confidence. Let me illustrate computer mode. Let's say your customer says, you don't give a darn about customers. Once you get a customer locked into a contract, the service aspect is over. While it may be tempting to fuel the fire with an equally hostile response, such as, what's your problem? Don't take the bait. If you do take the bait, the situation will only escalate, and nothing productive or positive will result. A computer mode response might look like one of these statements. People get irritated when they don't immediately get the help they need. It's very annoying to experience a delay in service response. Nothing is more distressing than feeling like you're being passed around when all you want is help. And then you stop, like a locked up computer. No matter how uncomfortable the verbal abuse is or how ridiculous it becomes, continue to respond without emotion. This tactic works because it is neutral, it doesn't take the bait, and because it is unexpected. The difficult customer wants to throw you off, make you lose control, and then get you to respond emotionally. When you fail to do each of these things, you actually regain control. Go into computer mode the next time you're faced with verbal abuse from an irate or unreasonable customer. I promise you, you'll quickly regain control and you'll have fun with the process. All right, next up, give this question a shot. Have I done something personally to upset you? I'd like to be a part of the solution. Of course, you know you haven't done anything to upset the customer. You ask this question to force the angry customer to think about his behavior. Often, the mere asking of this question is enough to get the ballistic customer to begin to shift from the right brain to the left brain, where he can begin to listen and rationalize. Next up, show empathy. Empathy can be a powerful tool used to disarm an angry customer and show that you genuinely care about the inconvenience the customer has experienced. Expressing empathy is also good for you, as it helps you truly begin to see the problem from the customer's perspective. And this perspective will help keep you from losing your cool when your customer gets hot. By letting customers know that you understand why they are upset, you build a bridge of rapport between you and them. Here are some phrases that express empathy. That must have been very frustrating for you. I realize the wait you encountered was an inconvenience. If I were in your shoes, I'm sure I'd feel just as you do. It must have been very frustrating for you to have waited 5 days for your order, and for that, I'm sorry. And finally, here's a tip that works like magic. Show appreciation for the difficult person's feedback. After your difficult customer has ranted and raved, you can regain control of the conversation by interjecting, not interrupting, but interjecting to thank them for taking the time to give you feedback. Here are a few phrases you might try. Thanks for taking the time to let us know how you feel. Thanks for being so honest. We appreciate customers who let us know when things aren't right. Thanks for caring so much. The reason this tip works so effectively is because the last thing your irate or unreasonable customer expects is for you to respond with kindness and gratitude. It's a shock factor, and many times you'll find that your customer is stunned silent. And this is exactly what you want. When the customer is stunned into silence, you get in the driver's seat and you steer the conversation in the direction you want it to go. The next time you find yourself the target of verbal abuse, deploy these field-tested techniques and you will create calm, maintain control, and I promise you, you'll be far more effective.
Okay, I hope you got the idea. I'm going to show you some points of how to handle angry customers. This woman talks about apology, so you shouldn't be afraid to apologize and to take responsibility for maybe something someone else did. Apology shouldn't be shameful, or you shouldn't be embarrassed to apologize. Many noble people apologize, and it's a sign of being a gentleman or being a person of a classy person. A very important idea is to listen and not to argue. This is, I think, the most important idea. I've had experience with many people who I've also been angry with people on the phone, and they've been angry with me. And anyone who argued with me would make me angrier. And whenever I argued with someone, I would make him angrier. So the best idea is just to listen, to try and not think about all the bad things he's saying. Just to listen normally and say, for example, I understand, you're right, I'll get to the bottom of this. Wait a moment. Try to understand what the problem is, no matter how angry he is. They say here, the woman says, don't take the bait. So, for example, the idea of don't take the bait is that if he challenges you somehow, don't answer back to him. Don't. For example, this is the worst day of my life. You're the worst company I've ever worked with. You don't have to say. You don't have to reply in a bad way. For example, just be silent and listen to him and say, "You're right. Just wait a moment, sir. We'll take care of the problem." Something like that. You are right. I understand. These are certain things you can use. We will handle this